Daf Nun Dalet Amud Aleph, 3 lines from the top. Continuing on with the discussion of where they are in a Kodesh, whether it was Nigla to Bavel, it was taken to Bavel in the Golas, or it was hidden in its place. So Ula's version of Rosh Yochai was that it was B'Kaiman Nignas. It says that Shani Yomer aren't B'Kaiman Nignas because it says Vayarechu Abadim, and it was there until there, the Aron was there until that day, until taken literally, and it means that it's there. It says Vayirich Abanim Vayiram Rashi Abanim in a Kaishal Pnei Advir V'lo Yira Chutza V'Yusham Ad Hayom Hazeh, which means literally until the present day, and therefore it was not taken to Baal; it was hidden. So Amrle Rabba Ula, 3 lines from the top. Amrle Rabba Ula, he said, "My masham, what's your right that it was hidden because the pasuk says V'Yusham Ad Hayom Hazeh." So does it mean literally forever until this day? Does it mean that literally forever? Vaksi, we had the pasuk. It says it says the Yevusi that were in Yerushalayim. When it came to inhabiting the land, it says that Binyamin did not inhabit them, and it says Vayeshev Yevusi as Binyamin Yerushalayim Ad Hayom Hazeh, and it says that Yevusi lived with Binyamin in Yerushalayim Ad Hayom Hazeh. So does it mean literally Ad Hayom Hazeh Achaname Deloy Gola, that they didn't go in exile, that they were there continually until the present day? Tanya is taught in the Brayso of Rabbi Yehuda. For 52 years, Yehuda, the land was desolate. Nobody passed through the land. Nobody was there. It says that in the went to Golas and Bavel, it says regarding the destruction of the hills that I cry and wail for them, and on the pastures of the wilderness there will be a kina and lamenting on the destruction that took place, because it says kinitzim bli yishover, and it says that it was all destroyed, it was burnt without anybody passing by. Nobody was there. There was not even the sound of the cattle. The birds, the sounds of the birds, and the birds of the Shemaim, including the behemoths, until the behemoth nodded halach, they all wandered and were gone. So it was desolate. There was nobody there. And behemoth, the gematria of behemoth is 52. So for 52 years, it was completely desolate. It was deserted. Nobody was there. So you see that the Yevusi wasn't there. The Tanya was taught in the Brayso Rabbi Yosi Omer. He said, "Sheva shanim niskayma gafras hamelech b'Eretz Yisrael." For 7 years, the Eretz Yisrael was covered throughout Eretz Yisrael with gafras hamelech, with sulfur and salt. V'amar Rav Yechanen's my time is Rav Yosi. Where does he see this? What's in the core? Because it says also bris bris. We learn out the exertion of a bris bris. It says Ksiv Alcha v'Higber bris l'Rabim Sheva Shavuach. It says in the pasuk of Daniel that there will be the strong bris, l'rabim, on account with the great ones for Shavuach, for 7 years. And it says in the Taicha, because they forsook the bris of their forefathers, so it says Gafar v'melach s'reva kol arza, it will be Gafar v'melach. So for 7 years, Eretz Yisrael was covered with sulfur and salt. So there were no inhabitants in Eretz Yisrael. So it doesn't mean literally that they were there to this very day. Amar Ula, he says, yeah, but there's a difference. He answers and he says, Hasam ksiv sham. Hasam like ksiv sham. By the Binyamin, it doesn't say sham. But in the case of the Badim, and the case of the Aron, it says, Vayu sham Ad Hayom Hazeh. Not only Ad Hayom Hazeh, but it says sham, which therefore means literally until this very day. Wherever it says Sham doesn't mean literally forever. Meis, I'll ask you a kasha. It says from some of them, from the sons of Shimon, 500 men went to Mahar Seir. They were at their head. And they attacked the remnants of the Molech who lived over there and who had survived. They attacked them. And people from Shimon They lived there rather until Ad Hayom Hazeh. It says V'yeshu Sham Ad Hayom Hazeh. Now, so therefore, according to what you're saying, it should mean literally that they were there until this present day. But it can't be. But we know that Sancherib, he took all of the nations, and he mixed them up, and he deported them, and he put them in exile from one place to the other. So the people were not living in their original locations. He took all the people and made them into exiles, and he displaced all the people. Shenemar va'asir gvulos amim. It says by Sancherib, he said, I removed the boundaries of the nation, and I plundered their treasures. So people aren't in their original place, and even though it says Sham. It says Sham Ad Hayom Hazeh, V'yeshu Sham Ad Hayom Hazeh Tiyufta. It's a Tiyufta Te'ulam. That just because it says that it was there, just because it says V'yeshu Sham Ad Hayom Hazeh, doesn't mean literally until this very day. Rav Nachman started in the Brayso of Chachamim Ma'imrim Oren Belishkos Dira Eitzim Hayagonot. They also say that the Aron was not in Gols, was not taken to Bovel. It was hidden. Where was it hidden? It was hidden in the Lishkas Dira Eitzim, in the chamber of the wood, where they stored the wood for the Maruach. We also learned in the Mishnah, there was once a Maisa with a Kayan who was busy with something. So, and according to Rashi, it means he was Masasek, meaning he was not focused on the Avodah. He is busying himself with Sicha B'Telem. And he saw on the floor, one of the slabs was different from the other slabs on the floor. And he informed his Chaverim, but look at this unusual sight over here. One of the stones looked different than the others. But he couldn't conclude to tell them where it was, and then he died. So he was now prevented from telling them that they should not know where it was, to keep the secret. And they know that for certain, certainly that this was the place of the Aron, and that's why he died, because of in order to keep it a secret. What was this Kohen doing? So he was Misasik. So Amar of Chelba Misasik Bekardu Mohaya. He was busy with his kardom, with his axe. So according to the text of Shana, means he was playing with it. So meaning he was misasik, he was not focused on the avodah, he was not having the proper kavod for the Beis Hamikdash, and therefore that's the reason that he died. Tana the Rav Shmuel Shnei Kohanim Balei Mumim Haimat Limeitz. Another version of it, or another detail of it, was there two Kohanim Balei Mumim that were there, they could not do the Avodah, they're Balei Mumim, and Matlim Beisim, they were moving the worms from the wood, the worms from the Gzir Eitzim, from the Eitzim Norocha, could not have any worms in it. Kohanim were Balei Mumim, that's what they were engaged in. And the kardum, the axe of one of them, slipped and fell on that place, and a fire came out, and it achlosa. So there's a different version of what it means, achlosa, but according to one version, achlosa means it burnt the axe. The axe was burnt. Rabbi Yehuda Rame, Rabbi Yehuda says here, Ksiv, it says, Legabe the badim, Legabe the poles of the Aron, it says, Vaya Rashi Abanim, that was seen, the tips of the bottom were seen. Uksiv lo yeru achutza, but it says that they were not seen, not showing on the outside. Kate said, how do we resolve this? Near and vain and near. They were seen but not seen. We'll see what to explain that in a minute, what that means. You might think that it did not extend, that it did not move from its place. They were extended, the poles were extended. You might think they were extended so far that they ripped through the paraychas. There was the paraychas that was by the first base of Mikdash, the Amatraxin, there was the wall, but then the entrance, there was a parach and a curtain. So you might think that it ripped through the curtain and it can be seen from the outside and the Heichal outside the Kodesh Kodashim. It was not seen on the outside. What does it mean, therefore? So it means the poles were extended, they extended out, and they pressed against the parachas, but it didn't rip through. And it appeared like the two dodim of an isha that they saw the impression of the badim, but it did not tear through. That Sror Hamor, a bundle of perfume, is my beloved. Ben Shadayolin, it's by my chest. So similarly over here, the Keteris is burnt between the poles of the Aron. So there is the Ben Shadayolin. It's compared to the Isha, like Shnei Dode Isha, and that's where the Tzra Hamor, the bundle of perfume, and the Keteris is burnt, which is beloved. The Keteris is Mechaper on Averis. Amar of Katina B'Shasha Yisrael Oilam L'Regel, when Yisrael would come to Oilam Regel on the Gimel Regolim, Megodolem as Paraychas, they would roll up the Paraychas, the curtain, Umarlem as a Kruvim, Shayim Muaram Zebezeh, and they would show the Kruvim that were embracing each other, were hugging each other. And so they rolled up the paraychas. They were able to look inside the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and they saw the Kruvim embracing each other. The Kohanim would tell the Klal Yisrael, Ruch Chibasum Shnei Amokam, look how beloved you are to the Rebbeinu Shalom, Ki Chibas Zachar Nekeva, like a Chibas Zachar Nekeva, that they're hugging each other. Masiv Rav Chisda, how could they do that and have the people, they can look inside the Kodesh Kodashim, it says, V'layavo lirais kevalas HaKodesh, it says that the Leviim should not come and look, and when the Kodesh is concealed, is covered, meaning when they were disassembling the Mishkan and they were put the Kalim into their containers, it says that the Leviim should not look and not see at the Aron HaKodesh when this was taking place. So it says, It means is that when they put the Kalim into the containers, and the Leviim are not allowed to look at the Aron. They're not allowed at the Aron when it's placed, when it's being covered up. And so therefore, how can we possibly say that the Kohanim rolled the paroichas and let the people look into the Kodesh Kodashim? Amar Rav Nachman, he answers, he says, no, it's mashal l'kala. Yes, it's true that at the time of the Mishkan they were not allowed to look, even the Levim were not allowed to look at the Aron, but it's a mashal to a kal. Kol zman b'veis before the Nisuin, before the marriage, when she's still in her father's house, when there's only Erusin, there's a Kedushin, but not yet Nisuin. Snua Bala, she is very snua, modest for her husband, she's shy and modest from her husband. And so therefore, there's a separation. And they don't look at each other. But Kevin Shabbos Beis Chamea, but when she, after the Nisuim, she comes to the father-in-law's house, so she has Nisuim, they're married already, ain't Tznu Mibala. So she's no longer so Tznu from her husband, and then they look at each other. So too over here. In the time of the Mishkan is compared to like an Erusin before the Nisuin. So they weren't allowed to look, but afterwards, when there's Beis HaMikdash, then they were allowed to look. So the Rambam and the Ramban, and that's what they hold, that the Isra of looking at the Aron is only applied in the earlier times. According to the Rambam, its mashma is only in the Mishkan. According to the Ramban, he says it was applied up until the time of the Beis HaMikdash. But once there was a Beis HaMikdash, it no longer applied. Other Rishonim, however, learn somewhat differently, but from our Gemara, it's mashma like the Rambam and the Ramban, that this Isra of looking at the Aron was only a temporary Isra. Masav Rav Chanan bar Rav Katina, Ma'aseh b'Kohen Echad Misasek. Well, we have the case that we just learned that the Kohen wanted to reveal the location of the Aron, and it was prevented from doing so. So you see, you're not allowed to look at it. You're talking about the period of time of after the Gershon, meaning the This Maisa occurred at the second base of Mikdash. Now, the first base of Mikdash was destroyed. There was a Golas Bovel. That's compared to Gershon when she was divorced. If she was divorced, well, now she's divorced. There's a second base of Mikdash. She's taken back. Now, but it's discussed, the situation, the relationship was as it was originally. And therefore, it's like in the Mishkan where there was the Chibos HaRishona, there was that Tznius, and therefore, at that point in the second base of Mikdash, you were not allowed to look. There was this, it had to be concealed. It was in the first base of Mikdash where there was that period of Nisuin, so to speak.